What's up, tennis fans? We just wrapped up another great day at the Houston Open. We'll do a day 5 recap and take a look at our picks. Let's take a look at the draw. Let's take a look at Shelton's half of the draw. First match we're going to look at is a quarterfinal matchup. Shelton playing Tirante. Shelton able to get through Zhang in straight sets. I don't know if I would say easy straight sets. 7-6, 7-6. Zhang played him pretty tough, and a lot of these points were very quick, ending either on winners or errors. I think the announcers were talking about. I don't think there was a point over 6 shots, so that's crazy. Especially on the clay that's supposed to play a little bit longer, but a lot of winners from Shelton, a lot of aces from him. Let's take a look at these stats here. 45 winners from Shelton, 40 winners from Zhang, 21 aces from Shelton, 12 aces from Zhang. So pretty nice, almost like a hard court match out there for these two guys. And we talked about how Zhang gave Shelton some issues on the clay previously. So a nice win for him to kind of get out there and get back in the winner's circle. We talked about Shelton having back-to-back losses, losing to Tien in the third round of Indian Wells, and then losing in the second round to Shevchenko in a tough match. So nice for him to be able to get through here. 7-6, 7-6. Not really, there's not much I can pull from this match because it was just like Shelton just controlling most of the tempo, like the way that we would expect him to. Big serve, big forehand, or big serve, big forehand miss. So we'll have to see how he does against Tirante in the next round to kind of gauge the clay court readiness of Ben Shelton. Tirante, on the other hand, able to get through Mackenzie McDonald 6-2, 6-0, and we saw McDonald with his nice win over Brooksby, and we thought, wow, maybe McDonald's got like a little bit of like clay court prowess now, but not to be. And honestly, though, I wouldn't really discredit McDonald. Obviously, Tirante, a much stronger clay courter, way more experienced on the surface, but McDonald still is moving the ball around. He was hitting his drop shots. I still think he looks pretty good. So, obviously a 2-0 loss. What can we say about that? Just a very nice match for Tirante to get through and be able to be at 100% going into this Ben Shelton matchup. So let's talk about this match here. No head-to-head for these guys. We have Tirante, who generally likes to be on the clay. We have Ben Shelton, who generally likes to be on the hard courts. Tirante is 5-2 on the clay this year, 35-22 in 2025, 26-22 in 2024, and 29-19 in 2023. Ben Shelton, on the other hand, is 1-0, just with that one Zhang win today. 7-5 last year, 8-4 in 2024, and 4-8 in 2023. So not a lot of clay court experience from Ben Shelton, and I would expect. I feel like he might be able to maybe make a little bit of a dent here on the clay. I love, like, his lefty game should allow him to be an effective player on the clay. He's just got to be able to not try to hit through the court as much, because once you kind of run up against some of these tough clay quarters, the matches become a little bit more difficult to hit through them, rather than just to open the court up and then hit your big shot. And honestly, if Ben is able to become a solid clay court player, maybe he has like a few good runs, whether it's like in Madrid or Barcelona, whatever, then I think that's going to translate over to the hardcore game and just turn him into a much smarter player. So hopefully we can see that this year from Ben Shelton. Looking at this matchup, guys, I know I had said before that if Tirante gets through, I'm picking him over Shelton, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I like Tirante. I think he's a much better clay court player than Zhang. And we saw today, I mean, like, yes, Ben Shelton can limit these points and shorten these points with his big shots, but what happens when those balls start to come back and you have to play a few more shots and now you have to move a little bit more on a surface that you're not as comfortable on. I feel like he's going to struggle a little bit here. This is going to be a three-setter, I believe. And honestly, like if I were given the choice of choosing the guy that prefers the clay versus the guy that doesn't, take the seeds out of your mind too. Take the rankings out of your mind. A lot of times on the clay, it's different. I just I like Tirante here. I think he's gonna pull this upset. I think he beats Shelton. Call me crazy. Call me crazy picking him over Ben Shelton, a top 10 guy. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick the number 83 guy is going to take out the number 9 guy. Sounds wild. Imagine picking that in like another sport. You would think no way that would ever happen. I think it's happening here. 3 sets, Tirante in 3. Crazy that we have to wait till Thursday for Learner Tien to play. His match going off tomorrow. And we did have a breakdown of that yesterday in the day 4 recap. So definitely look at that. I'll give you guys just kind of like the cliff notes of it. I think Tien's just going to be too strong for Basaverreddy. Tien obviously not the best on the clay, but I think he's going to have enough to take out a guy that he's pretty familiar with as well. Is familiar with his game. I think he'll have enough to take out Basaverreddy in straight sets there and advance to the quarterfinals. The next match we're going to look at is Buruchaga against Nakashima, and Buruchaga able to get through Walton, and thankfully, that put us at a winning first round of 32 for us there with the Buruchaga win. And looking at this head-to-head here, no, they have not played any matches. Nakashima able to get through Martin Dam, and that was, obviously, like, what can we expect from Martin Dam on the clay courts? It's going to slow his serve down. Nakashima's one of the best returners in the game. That 7-0 breaker, it doesn't surprise me. And then able to break Dam a couple of times. Nakashima just too good, especially on the clay against the Dam serve. Just not. There wasn't really much that Dam could offer. Maybe on a hard court he's going to bother Nakashima a little bit more because he has that big forehand and the big serve. He can come in and serve and volley. But here on the clay, you could tell there was a little bit of discomfort there moving around as well. Nakashima just too strong there getting through. But now he's going to play a real clay quarter, and this is going to be a much tougher challenge for Brandon Nakashima. So no head-to-head, as we mentioned before, for these guys. Buruchaga is 12-4 this year on the clay, 51-25 last year, 40-24 the year before. So that's pretty solid. This is a guy, again, similar to what we just talked about with Shelton. This is a guy that prefers the clay surface, that is comfortable moving on it. He's not gonna kind of like change his game because he doesn't want to step around the ball or anything like that. He's extremely familiar with the surface. Nakashima, on the other hand, 1-0 based on his 1 win over Dam on the clay. 6-8 in 2025, 13-7 in 2024, 3-4 in 2023. So not a great record on the clay, and honestly, that kind of is surprising. You would think Nakashima would be able to find some success on the clay, just given his game, how strong his movement is, given his return, and his ability to take balls early. So a little bit surprising that he hasn't really found much success on the clay yet. Buruchaga coming off the Sao Paulo Challenger win, beating Jamie Feria in 3 sets, 6-7, 6-4, 6-4. And obviously, a challenger, he didn't beat anybody like of notable mention, but just having that confidence of winning a challenger the week before really does help you. And look at the way that he handled Adam Walton. Adam Walton, obviously a hardcore player from Australia, not really going to have a lot of comfort here on the clay. And Buruchaga just able to chew him up 2 and 3 in straight sets. Nakashima obviously going to give him a lot more resistance here. I think this is going to be Buruchaga in 3, guys. I have a weird feeling about this. The one thing that I'm not sure about, and I don't really have a lot of Buruchaga matches for me to kind of like go back into my memory bank and think about some of these matches. I'm curious about the Buruchaga second serve because that to me is where Nakashima makes all of his success. Being able to just kind of take advantage of a player's weak second serve. We saw it against Carabelli. Um, we saw it against Kipson in Acapulco. Vachero and also in Acapulco, he was able to do that. He did it. He did it for a set and a half against Tiafoe, just really putting a lot of pressure on the Tiafoe serve. So that's one thing that I'm curious about. But I just feel like if Buruchaga can extend these points, you gotta favor him to win the majority of them. So I'm gonna go with Buruchaga. I think it's gonna be 3 sets, but Nakashima's got to prove to me that he has the ability to be competitive on a clay surface like this. Give me Buruchaga in 3 sets. We'll get Shelton's half the draw with our picks, and I was just thinking, obviously we're 4-0 right now with our round of 16 picks, so I'm like maybe I'm taking bigger swings now because I have a nice record. But I really do like Buruchaga to win that match. And I would look out for him against Learner Tien. Tien, I like Tien's movement a little bit more. I do think one of the big factors to me is going to be Michael Chang in the coaching booth with Learner Tien and how he's going to help Learner Tien become a better clay court player. So be aware of that. I think Learner Tien's going to pull a few surprises on the clay court swing. And then I like Tirante. I like Tirante to advance over Shelton. I think he's the stronger player. We have the Learner Tien and Basaverreddy, Buruchaga, and Nakashima. They play tomorrow. Let's pull up the schedule here while we have it in front of us. So first up is Nakashima, Buruchaga, then Basaverreddy, Tien, then Tiafoe, Hijikata at night, followed by Popyrin and Michelsen. That's a nice slate of matches there. We'll talk about the Tiafoe, Hijikata, and Popyrin and Michelsen. We talked about it already in our day 4, but we'll preview those matches as well. But really nice slate coming up tomorrow for the Houston Open. Let's move on to the next part of the draw. And here's a look at Tiafoe's half of the draw. Etcheverry with a nice win over Bolt. Tommy Paul with a nice win over Vallejo. Let's talk about this Etcheverry-Paul matchup, but first let's talk about those round of 16 matches. Etcheverry, again, losing that first set. This time it was close. He was down a break in the first set, was able to come back, but loses in a breaker. Then he does the same thing that he did to Gomez. Takes that bathroom break, gets off the court, lets Bolt kind of stew in his success, lets the momentum kind of cut down a little bit, comes back out and just blitzes him 6-0 in that set. And you could tell that Bolt came out after that break a little bit cold. But Etcheverry really finding his success. 1, he was moving Bolt so much better. And 2, he was targeting that Bolt backhand so much better as well. And the one thing that we talk about with finding the backhand, Bolt was just chipping a lot of those backhands. So Etcheverry able to kind of step in and really dictate, open the court up on the forehand side, just rope it to the backhand, come in, put some volleys away, keep Bolt moving uncomfortably. As we talk about, Bolt likes the hard court surface a little bit more. That movement not as confident as Etcheverry is. So once he kind of started to pull him on a string, Etcheverry found a lot of success, winning the next 2 sets 6-0, 6-3, and Etcheverry advances to the quarterfinals. He will take on Tommy Paul, who survived Vallejo, and this match was anything but easy. You see 6-4, 6-4, Tommy Paul's able to survive again. No, this was this was last second break for Tommy Paul in that third set, and Paul just I don't know, he looked great. So goes up 4-0 in the second set. You think, okay, here we go, he's going. Then a lot of errors. There were a lot of errors on the Paul forehand for me, and they weren't like from Vallejo pushing him around or anything like that. They were like errors when he was stepping into the court to finish the shot off. Like where if he makes that ball, he wins the point. So I'm a little bit concerned with that. I think Paul will be able to hone it in. I'm not sure about maybe like the conditions, maybe the way the racket was strung. Maybe there's some things that Paul's gonna correct after, because he was missing some forehands. They were only by a few inches. It's not like he's missing them like by large margins. He's missing shots by just a little bit, and he did a good job of just moving Vallejo around. I liked the way that he kind of switched it up. So he started the first set playing like hardcore Tommy Paul, kind of hitting through him, not hitting behind him as much, not challenging that movement. And then we got the clay court Tommy Paul, who's coming into net, charging the net, taking time away, hitting behind Vallejo, and goes up 4-0. A few too many errors. Vallejo is able to get it back. To being only down a break, but Tommy Paul able to hold on and win the set 6-4. So thankfully he got that double break there. Then they exchanged breaks in the third set, and Paul able to get one final break to go up 5-4, serves for it, couple of deuce points, couple of shaky deuce points there, but Paul able to prevail, winning the final two sets 6-4, 6-4. So still, again, nothing easy for Tommy Paul here. And I don't know, now he plays Etcheverry, and Etcheverry's a guy that he's pretty grooved now on the clay. He's played 2 tough matches. He's definitely found his form. Etcheverry's talked about how he does like playing in Houston. He feels like he plays very well here. Looking at their head-to-head, it is 1-0 for Tommy Paul, and this is the rematch, guys, that we just talked about from Miami a couple of weeks ago. A 6-1, 6-3 win for Tommy Paul over Etcheverry. How much do you think now we're on Etcheverry's turf? We're no longer on Tommy Paul's comfort surface. Now, Tommy Paul, very good clay quarter, too. Probably one of the top American clay quarters. I'm trying to think of another American that I would take over Tommy Paul on the clay, and it's not really coming to me. But I don't know. Maybe I'm forgetting someone. 6-1, 6-3. Can Etcheverry turn a match like that? That was a week and a half ago. Can Etcheverry turn a match like that around and turn it into a win here? Oof. Etcheverry's 10-1 on the clay. he's got the best record, I think, or second best record, because I think we just talked about Trunzoliti in our other video. I think he's 11-1. So Etcheverry, Trunzoliti, like these guys, great records on the clay. Tommy Paul 2-0. Remember, he had that one Davis Cup match. Tommy Paul was 12-4 in 2025, 10-4 in 2024, 5-6 in 2023. Etcheverry was 9-14 last year, which is kind of interesting. 19-13 the year before, 25-14 the year before that. So really interesting though. We have Etcheverry who's stepping out. He's playing his 250s, his 1000s, his 500s, and he's able to find success. Winning the ATP 500 in Rio, and that was like one of the most incredible wins I've seen at a 500 level, just because of the adversity that he had to face, playing Kopriva in that tough 3-set match that spanned over 2 days. I think they were delayed because of heat, and then they were delayed because of the rain, and just a lot of mental toughness from him to get through that match. And both guys were on like one leg leaving that match, so you thought no way Etcheverry is going to be able to beat Tabilo in the finals. and he goes down a set, and I think it was a set and a break, and he's able to fight back and win in 3 sets. So just incredible effort from Etcheverry. You can never count this guy out of a match. And like that's something, Tommy Paul better be aware of that. Hey, if you're up, even if you're up, 6-4, 5-1, don't count Etcheverry out of the match. He can still fight back. He's going to fight to the very last minute. Let me show you Etcheverry's hardcourt record because it is so poor in his career. He has a losing record, 54-55. 5-5 this year, 10-10 the year before, 7-10 in 2024, 8-11 in 2023. So not a lot of success on the hard courts. So I want to throw out that head-to-head. I want to forget about it. It's so tough for me to forget about it. But we talk about the revenge factor. This feels so much like Etcheverry's match to me. He's played a couple of tough matches here. Hasn't gotten the start that he's wanted. Was down a break to Bolt. That could have been a 6-4 set for Bolt. So, hey, Etcheverry just has some of these slow starts. He's got to get off to a fast start against Tommy Paul. He cannot go down a set. I mean, that's just asking for trouble, I'm going to go Etcheverry. I'm going to say Etcheverry wins in straight sets. I know he's played the last 3 sets. And, I know people are probably looking at this and they're like, three-setter against number 182 Gomez. 3-setter against number 165 Bolt. Now he's playing number 21. Doesn't that tell you that Paul's probably going to win this match? I don't know. Crazier things have happened. I really think you throw out the seeds, you throw out the rankings in these first few clay court tournaments, and once these guys have performed, then the rankings will start to adjust and move them where you need to be in the seedings for the clay. Give me Etcheverry, guys. I'm going Etcheverry. I think he's going to win in straight sets. And here's a look at Tiafoe's half of the draw. We did break down the Michelsen, Popyrin, and Hijikata Tiafoe matches yesterday, but I'll give you guys the cliff notes on that. Popyrin has only got, I think it's 3 wins on the year. This was his 3rd win against Gibson. I don't think he's going to be able to do it again. He's not even comfortable on the clay. Michelsen also not very comfortable either, but able to find some comfort against Coleman Wong. Was able to find his forehand a little bit in the second set. So I think a Popyrin match is going to be a tricky match for him, especially with the Popyrin serve. I think he's going to be able to get through it. It might be 3 sets, but I think he's going to advance in straights to the quarterfinals. Tiafoe against Hijikata. This is another really tough match to pick. We remember Hijikata having a decent run at Indian Wells, finding some success. I do look to see kind of maybe some differences. Tiafoe with a new coaching staff. I know I keep saying that. I keep talking to you guys about that. But I do look to see what kind of changes they're going to make to the Tiafoe game for the clay season. If they're going to make him... I feel like right now he's playing a little bit more reserved than he was in prior years. And I think that might help him a little bit on the clay as well. Especially instead of whenever he used to get pulled out wide, he's always trying to rope the ball down the line as hard as he could. Now we see him going aggressive middle. He's able to kind of neutralize some of the positioning of the other player. So I like Tiafoe here to prevail. I can never trust Hijikata to win back-to-back matches. I know I keep saying that. I said that at Indian Wells, and I think he won 3 straight or something like that. So maybe it happens again, but I don't know. I don't trust Hijikata on the clay. I don't trust him to win back-to-back matches. So give me Tiafoe to advance to the quarterfinals there to play Michelsen. Let me know your guys' picks. Would love to hear from you in the comments. And here's a look at our round of 16 records. 4-0 to start. Feeling pretty confident here, guys. Hopefully we can keep that up with our picks for the round of 16 of the next 4 matches that are going out. So we'll see how those go, and we will recap tomorrow. Thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share your picks in the comments. Share the video. We have 2 other videos out on the recaps for the Bucharest Open Open and the Marrakesh Open. Make sure you go watch those to catch up on everything tennis. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.